not attempt to adjust the picture.
You were expecting Stika, but it was me, Snickety. Since our favourite Portuguese retro reviewer is currently away in Italy, I think, I decided to hijack his show for a video. So let's talk about something Stika would probably never cover himself. Hentai games. I kid, don't click off the video. We'll be taking a look at a Sonic game that was released exclusively for a little known handheld. Firstly, I wanted to give a little rundown of my own personal experience with this game and console, as it is quite close to my heart. I remember walking into that game shop sometime in the early 2000s, and seeing all the games for this system on the shelf. I was incredibly excited to get one, mainly because my brother had told me you could play Sonic Adventure on it. Being a dumb 7-year-old, I thought he was talking about the Dreamcast game, but he was actually talking about this game. I walked out of that store that day with one of these, a Neo Geo Pocket Color, SNK's answer to the Game Boy, and a single game, Sonic the Hedgehog Pocket Adventure. Getting a single game that day turned out to be a massive mistake, however, because the next time we returned to the shop to buy some more, they were all gone from the shelves. I have no idea why. But if you're gonna get stuck with a single game on your handheld, I can think of no better example. Sonic Pocket Adventure is absolutely fantastic, and easily ranks up there as one of the best Sonic games. What you're seeing here is my original copy. I still have it with a box and manual somehow. This game is an oddity. Not only is it a Sonic game on a non-Sega console in a time where Sega was still producing hardware, but it wasn't even developed by them. It was developed by SNK themselves, with some oversight by Sonic Team. You heard that correctly. SNK made one of the best Sonic games ever. Maybe Sega should have let them take over the franchise instead of farming it out to the less than stellar Dimps, which itself was made up of former SNK people who had worked on this game. So I guess they kind of did. But you've heard me talk about the history of this gem enough. Let's dive into the actual game. The first thing you'll notice is that its zones are incredibly similar to a lot of Sonic 2's, just with different names. We've got Chemical Plant, Casino Night, Aquatic Ruin, Sky Chase, and Wing Fortress. Even the special stages are the half pipe from Sonic 2. There are only a couple zones that aren't from Sonic 2. Neo South Island is Green Hill with a lot of design cues taken from Emerald Hill, and Gigantic Angel is just Scrap Brain with some Metropolis zones sprinkled in. And finally, there is the true final boss that is very similar to the one found in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. I can't speak too much about that part because I wasn't good enough to do the special stages. Because of these similarities, you often hear a lot of people call this a remake of Sonic 2, and that's a little unfair. I think it's more apt to call it a love letter to the original Sonic trilogy, with some nods to the modern era, particularly in Sonic and Robotnik's character designs. Look, he has green eyes! This is about as much of a remake of Sonic 2 as Sonic Mania is. The gameplay is 100% classic Sonic. It just feels right. It's one of those things that's difficult to explain, but just play a bit of it and you'll understand. In the same way Sonic 4 doesn't feel right, Pocket Adventure just feels perfect. The physics and momentum are just on point. It also helps that you play this game with what is possibly the best joystick on any handheld ever. Seriously, this thing is amazing. Just listen to that clicky goodness.
Oh, listen to that click. Listen to that clickiness.
But I have played this game on a regular controller via an emulator, which is where much of this footage you're seeing is from. But it still controls great. As I've mentioned, all the zones are lifted from previous Sonic games, but their layouts are entirely different. There are a lot of recognisable hallmarks of Sonic level design. You have loops, long stretches where you get to use your speed, and the slower, more platform-heavier sections. The speed aspect is incorporated into the zones very well. Even those slower-paced platform sections I mentioned have a brisk pace to them. It never feels like you have to slow down out of fear of dying or falling into a bottomless pit. There's actually very few instant death traps in this game, and I find this to be an improvement over some of the earlier games. Sure, it's nowhere near as difficult as those older games because of this, but it's more enjoyable as a result. It even has a save system, and lets you continue from any act after you get a game over. Another subtle thing this game does that improves on the older games is not having Sonic in the centre of the screen. Depending on where he's facing, he'll be slightly to the left or right. This was probably done to compensate for the smaller screen, but it's a design choice that makes so much sense in a game where you're moving forward quickly. There's much more reaction time to work with. Visually, it's impressive for the pocket colour. Compared to those old Mega Drive games, there's a noticeable lack of detail in the backgrounds and sprites. It does look far better than any of the Game Gear titles, however, even if the visuals are a little more simplified in comparison. This is probably one of the best looking games on the pocket colour. I should probably mention how good the boss fights in this game are. A lot of them are lifted from other Sonic games, or at least inspired by them, but there's a couple really good new ones, such as the last Utopia boss. Oh my god, I found that part right there to be pretty brutal as a kid. It's almost a perfect package. I just wish they had brought in the Sonic 3 and Knuckles zone transitions. Sadly, there's only the one after you defeat Knuckles, but it is one of the most extreme transitions in the entire series. The uppercut was so powerful it sent him above the clouds, where Tails' plane just happens to be. You may be disappointed by the fact that there isn't a great deal of new music. Its soundtrack is made up mostly of music from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, which is strange to hear in these Sonic 2 stages. The reuse of Chrome Gadget as an endgame act is probably my favourite part of the soundtrack. It has a pretty climatic feel to it that works better here than it did as some throwaway two-player zone in Sonic 3 and Knuckles. Now let's talk about all the extras. Zones have puzzle pieces scattered about that you can collect and assemble in the room menu. I always found this kind of neat. I remember just spending hours staring at these puzzles. It was a simpler time. I believe there's also some kind of multiplayer mode where you can play as Tails, but I've never seen this with my own eyes, and I couldn't record any footage of it either. I couldn't even find someone else who had one of these things back in the early 2000s, so I doubt I could find someone in 2018. Sonic Pocket Adventure is the reason to own a Neo Geo. It was a great mashup of classic Sonic long before that became a nostalgic thing to do. So basically what I'm saying is, Sonic Pocket Color was Sonic Mania before Sonic Mania. Don't at me. It's an incredibly solid game that I'm happy to say I owned back in the day. Fans of classic Sonic owe it to themselves to check this one out. Either on an emulator or the original hardware, with that beautiful clicky joystick. As far as Pocket Color games go, it's probably one of the less expensive ones as well. Hey everyone, thank you for watching Steeka's Retro Corner. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, subscribe and share this video. All that fun social media stuff. And be sure to hit that notification bell icon to know when a new video is out. Also subscribe to me as well. I'm sure Steeka will be back in the next video and not my British ass. Anyway, I hope you have a great day. Bye!
Bye-bye!
Sachi, why are you hiding behind me?